Hello, my name is Tammy Miller. In this galvanic cells video, we're going to predict whether an electrode is reactive or inert. To predict whether an electrode is reactive or inert, we need to look at how the cell is set up. The cell is set up of two half cells, and each half cell electrode is immersed in a solution that contains either ions or gas. The components of this solution, whether they are ions or gas, are going to be directly involved in that redox reaction. When we have reactive electrodes, this means that they are also involved in the reaction. They're going to, again, participate directly in a redox reaction. A reactive electrode is either going to be reduced or it is going to be oxidized as the cell is in operation. Oxidizing an electrode that is reactive will release cations into the electrolyte solution that electrode is immersed in. Since cations are being released from the electrode itself, the electrode loses weight. Reducing an electrode that is reactive is going to draw new metal ions onto the electrode. And this is coming from the electrolyte solution that the electrode is immersed in. Since it is drawing new metal ions onto the electrode itself, that electrode gains weight. On the other hand, there are inert electrodes. Inert electrodes usually are made of platinum. Sometimes they're made of carbon, palladium, or gold. The reason that we call them inert electrodes is because they are not reactants in the redox reactions. These inert electrodes are there to transport electrons to or from the redox reactions of other solids, gases, ions, or liquids that are in the half cell solution. We need to be able to predict whether an electrode is reactive or if it is inert. First thing that we need to do is we need to look at the net redox reaction that is occurring in that cell. If the electrode itself is a reactant or a product, then that electrode is considered reactive. On the other hand, if the electrode is not a reactant or a product, then that electrode is considered inert. Let's predict a couple of electrodes within a galvanic cell. Classify the electrodes in the following cells as reactive or inert based on the whole cell redox reaction. First thing I notice is I look at my redox reaction and I see that I have zinc and I have iodine. I'm going to look at those two reactants and products and see if they are part of the electrodes. I do see on the right that we have zinc as an electrode. Zinc here is then considered reactive because it is in the equation as a reactant, as the electrode itself, and as the product, as the ions. The other electrode is carbon, and carbon does not appear anywhere in this reaction. Because of that, carbon is considered inert. In our second example, we're still classifying the electrodes as reactive or inert based on the whole cell redox reaction. When I look at this whole cell redox reaction, I see that copper and zinc are my reactants and products. Again, on the right, I do see zinc as my electrode. That means zinc is reactive since it is in the above equation. On the left side, we have copper as the electrode. Copper is also in the whole cell redox reaction. Therefore, copper is also reactive. We need to determine if electrodes are reactive or inert to see if they are actually part of the redox reaction or if they're just transferring electrons during the redox reaction in a galvanic cell.